not reprinting merchandise. They're still going to say Tokyo 2020 on it. I think that's hilarious that, all the signs and all the merchandise has been printed. So they're just saying this is the 2020 Olympics, even though it's 2021.
Just a year later.
Yeah. So, obviously we've had quite the characters in swimming over the last several years that always seems to, captivate attention, whether it's, Michael Phelps winning, what was it, like 8 medals in China,
8 golds and
and then,
Bejing.
And it's like, I don't remember a ton about the Olympics over the last several years, but you remember that. You remember the one race where I think it was it a relay where whoever it was he was teamed with actually was beaten back to the final, the touch panel, but he got his hand in just ahead of the other guy. So they actually won the race because of that. It's like,
Yeah, so there were 2 races that really stood out. It was the 100 butterfly where I think maybe the one that you're referring to I think is Milorad Kavic, I think from Croatia or Serbia. It looks like he's on the wall, but one thing we tell our swimmers, keep your head down at the finish, and you see him lifting his head up, and Michael Phelps just jams his stroke in, and I think they even determined the other guy touched first, but he hit the pad harder, so it triggered to get that 100th of a second. And then that 400 free relay is Jason Lezak going at the end on the anchor leg, still a couple body lengths behind at 25 meters to go, and somehow gets into the wall first. I think that was a 7/100ths victory, and I think at the time was like the fastest relay split ever. Still get chills watching both of those swims. Like, how does that happen?
And then later on, then you have characters like Ryan Lochte come out and have his antics in Brazil.
Oh, yeah.
That if you look back, you'll probably be like, oh yeah, I forgot that what did he do? Did he like claim that he was robbed or something like that?
Yeah.
There's still so many different stories that I'm just reading about it again in a book that I got. Is they talk about that. Like, one story came out, and then we found it wasn't quite true, but then as we get more information, there was parts of it that maybe were exaggerated. And then they wanted to hold the swimmers by taking their passports, and they had to figure out ways and pay money just to be able to leave the country. It was just crazy.
But I mean, it seems like every time the Summer Olympics, there's always the traditional, everyone's interested in the sprinters, but it always seems like we get this surge in interest in swimming for a while. And then after, the Olympics go away, maybe there'll be some events on television that people watch, and it kind of fades away. And then here come the Olympics again, and we're back in. I mean, is it like, do you see that? Is that just how it is for whatever reason, or does it help with, you have personalities like Michael Phelps, who is an all-time great, and characters like Ryan Lochte out there? Like, does that have more to do with it? What do you think on that?
It definitely helps having somebody like Michael Phelps, just being one of the greatest Olympians of all time, and just in terms of medal count and just in what he's done for his sport. You see the kids that get to watch them and kind of start saying, I want to be like him. And every year after the Olympics, there's a surge in registrations with USA Swimming, because you get that popularity, and some end up saying, maybe this isn't quite what I was hoping it was. And then you get others that stand out. I just saw a picture the other day. I think it kind of speaks to what you're asking here. It shows a picture of Michael Phelps signing autographs, and there's a young girl swimmer in the picture with him getting his autograph. And then they flip it. That girl was Katie Ledecky, who's now one of the best swimmers and breaking Janet Evans records. So you get that too. And I know there's another picture. I can't remember his name, but it shows him as a young swimmer with Phelps, and he was the, I think, 2016 100 butterfly champion and beating Michael Phelps. Being able to see his childhood idol grow up and then race him at the Olympics on the biggest stage. So you definitely get swimmers like that. And then others that go on and just, have great careers in their own right, not necessarily as Olympians, but find a sport that they're going to enjoy for the rest of their life.
And Michael Phelps lives out this way, and
yeah, he's out in Phoenix too right now.
Yeah, it's funny too. Like he's doing like ads, like local ads here, and so you'll drive out I-10 on the way to the airport, and there's this giant billboard of like Michael Phelps and his like the practice, those I'm not sure what they call them, those little practice pools that are like 10 feet long that you can like put into like a condo backyard, and it's like
I think he's involved with Endless Pools, maybe.
Yeah, there we go. That's what
I think it's that one.
I was kind of hoping he was doing the hair growth ads that like Brian Urlacher does in the Chicago area.
Well, those are out here too. Brian Urlacher, he lives down the street from me, believe it or not.
Oh, cool.
I'm trying to get him on the show. I actually know somebody who is in the
knows a person who knows a person.
Well, no, his kid, a coworker of mine. His kids are the same age and are in the same class, and he sat down at like a the end of the year parent teacher event, or like they had like the end of the year like awards ceremony, and he sits down, and all of a sudden like Brian Urlacher comes in and sits down next to him, and he's just like, I know who you are. So
well, I know Michael Phelps has been doing a lot with mental health.
And
a couple ads here recently.
Yeah, he's been very, very open of with that over the last couple of years, and I mean you've seen like his struggles were pretty well documented over the last decade.
Well, it's so great to see that a very well-known athlete is willing to open up about that, because it's such a big issue, and especially just being multiplied now. And even for athletes retiring from their sport, it's hard, and it just leaves that void.
I mean, you don't obviously, you're around the swimmers. I mean, do you see that like, in your coaching ranks? Like, do you see, like, even at high school, like some of those kids, most of those kids that's it for them after their senior year. They're not going to swim in college. I mean, do you see a lot of that? Like, do you think that's, there's an epidemic in swimming, or is it more just sports in general?
I think it's sports in general. I think you see with like retired athletes that either end up going maybe the wrong way just because they don't have that structure. I think we've seen that before. I think some athletes, they don't want to approach that other side. So I think sometimes they hang on and try to play for too long, just because they enjoy it. But it's some of it, what am I going to do next? So I think it's just all sports. If you've done something since you were 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, and now you're in your mid 30s, or let's say even like early 40s, like Tom Brady, and it's that question of what comes next. Something for so long. I think I swam for 21 years, and I still have that drive inside. I know I'm not going to be as fast as I was, but I still want to go out and race and compete. If I just haven't had the opportunities to get in, maybe that's just on me, but I still have that drive.
I mean, I stopped playing soccer after high school, but it is weird that you do something for 15 plus years of your life, and it's become it was such a big part, and then all of a sudden it's just that's it. And it's like, yeah, you could get into coaching like obviously you have, but some people, they just it's just not for them.
And that was false, DJ. I got a picture of you playing soccer like last week.
Okay, the old, that doesn't count. I was kicking a ball around the backyard with my kids. That that doesn't count. It's that is fun. That is enjoyable. When they are paying attention for the 30 seconds. But yes, that does not count. But on the topic of Olympic swimming, you'd been out in Colorado, where if I remember right, that's where the training center is. So
yep,
you've been in the facility, probably been around some of these people who've become household names from the Olympic years. Like, what are your like experiences there? Like, is this, even as somebody who's heavily involved in the sport, to come in there and see the top athletes in the US competing and training, like, is that like, is it really like eye-opening how next level these people are?
I don't know if I ever really told you or you saw that I got to lifeguard at the training center. So
Wait, they need lifeguards? I thought they could swim.
I mean, they can. Not really too much that we had to do. We got to do a lot of fun other things. We got to film the swimmers. We had tow systems that we could use. So I've gotten to tow Olympians, just helping them feel swimming faster than they're normally capable of. So that was pretty fun. But being able to sit there, and I was coaching at the time, so it was really fun just being able to sit and watch what the Michael Phelps and Katie Ledecky's are doing. I think it was maybe 2012 Olympics, kind of going through the roster. We figured out that probably 60-70% of the Olympic roster that year had been at the training center in the year prior. And, just getting to know some of them and talking to them at the pool, there's really not that much of a difference. They just have a super amazing ability to swim that fast. But a lot of them are really fun and humble. I remember afterwards, Nathan Adrian comes into the pool, and hopefully I don't get in trouble with the training center for saying this, but, I've retired from there. But, he just won gold medals and had a great meet. And so I see him like, hey, congratulations on a great Olympics. And just the smile that came across his face saying thank you, that was fun to see, and just seeing that. But, listening to coaches, Bob Bowman, Dave Durden out of California, Greg Troy from Florida, Mike Bottom from here in Michigan, being able to see them and just hear how they coach and talk to their swimmers. Mike Bottom sat his team down one day and talked to him, and it was like, whoa, this is kind of cool. Just, I'm here working, but I get to listen to this. So it's almost like a coaching clinic or conference every day I worked. I remember another coach coming in, did a great job out in Pennsylvania. His kids are warming down, and it's in March, and he's really big into March Madness. So I'm giving him score updates, and we're getting close to an end of a game of a team that he's really interested in. So we're in our weight room that's off the pool deck watching the game. He doesn't hear his swimmers moving. They should have been cooling down. And he comes back out like, what are you guys doing? Get moving. All right, let's go watch. So just being able to have interactions like that and see what they do. And, I picked up a lot of things, but I also saw a lot of similarities to things that I was doing just with my age group and developmental swimmers and my high school kids. So it was, in a way, kind of validating, like, I'm doing a lot of the same things they are. It's just, they're on a different level.
It
so
reminds me
so much fun doing that.
You mentioned about lifeguarding for Olympians at the practices. I mean, obviously drowning is not a joking issue, but there's this meme that goes around. It seems like every 4 years of the Olympics, and it says like, when you think that you're useless in life, just think that this guy right here is a lifeguard for Olympic swimming. And it shows like some kid sitting there, and he has the little pull floater thing, and he's just like this, just like looking like incredibly like bored and out of his mind.
Yeah, I've lifeguarded for so long. You remember Kokomo Beach?
I do.
Old Seashore area. I lifeguarded Small Water Park. Then I lifeguarded a little bit in Colorado Springs, and then ended up working at the training center. You never know when things might happen. Not to go into too much detail, but we were doing a swim meet at the training center, and I finished my shift and I switched over to coach. And there was a 50 freestyle race, and a kid decided to try it underwater, and actually a lifeguard had to pull him out.
Wow.
I don't want to go into too much detail, but things happen. You never know.
Right.
And I know Coach Bowman, who's actually in Tempe, has been a big proponent of shallow water blackout. So there's a lot on that, and just the research that's coming into it. Hypoxic training has changed up, just that underwater work. It's really different now. And it's like, I know the attitude is there, like, oh, they're swimmers, they know what they're doing. Why do we have to pay attention to this? But you just never know. Incidents have happened. I know USA Swimming is doing a great job with Make a Splash and trying to get swim lessons out, and especially to maybe some underprivileged areas. So it's great to see that we're doing all that, because just that water safety. And even just a quick flashback, there was a fountain in Colorado Springs that, not much to it, but there was water there, and they staffed it with lifeguards. And I remember this was before grate got put in. I think it had broken or something, so they needed to get it replaced. And a little kid ran up and fell in, and I was right there, grabbed him, pulled him up, and like,
jeez,
if we're not there, just being water safe, it's so important.
Right.
Even if you don't plan on swimming, just there's so much water everywhere, and unfortunately we hear all the time of toddler drowns in a backyard pool. And so just having those swim lessons out there and available, and just having that knowledge, it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously being in a warm climate here, like, every other house has a pool. We have a pool here. And I mean, the two things they talk about with water safety is that, make sure that you have a fence, make sure that your fence is well maintained and closed and locked. And yeah, always, keep an eye on the kids, and make sure you get your kids in swimming lessons. Like, even if you don't have a pool, there's a really good chance that your kid is going to end up friends with somebody who does, and end up at their house. And the absolute last thing you want to hear about is that your kid went over to somebody's house and drowned because they snuck out and were goofing around and playing in the pool. And every summer it happens, and it's, a toddler escaped, or, even 8, 9, 10, 12 years old, these accidents happen. So, I mean, there's no age when it comes to accidental drownings, and it's
no, and
bad.
definitely
You see it I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but it seems like almost, you come out of every weekend, there's a story of a drowning or a near drowning that the paramedics had to respond to. I mean, it's scary.
Yeah, and being around pools and lakes, ponds, ocean, it's so much fun, but there's a very real danger with water.
And further, to like take it, even adults, like, one of the popular things with adults here is up on the Salt River, what people do is they go and they rent these giant inner tubes, and you basically float down the Salt River on an inner tube. And of course, what is an adult going to do when they're just floating slowly down a river is they're going to crack open a few beers.
They're going to imbibe on a few.
Yeah, they're going to have a few beers. It's, it's the middle of summer in Phoenix. It's 100+ degrees outside. You're going to get dehydrated incredibly quickly. And I mean, it just opened last weekend, and I think somebody was drinking and they fell in and they drowned. I mean, it's a serious issue. It's like, it can't be said enough.
Yeah, like you're talking about, it doesn't matter whether you're just floating down a river or swimming back and forth in a pool. You just never know. And the better prepared that we can be, and the more that we can train or teach swim lessons, the better.
Wasn't expecting the show to end on this note. So
no, a little bit of a dark turn, but
yeah,
it's a fun way to make it fun here.
There you go.
Just realities of the sport and what we do.
All right, Kate, throw us in. What do you got? What are you gonna do to turn it into a positive note before we shut down for today?
So, if an adult was planning on taking up recreational swimming, what's the best thing to start with?
Just getting into the water. There's masters teams all over the country. So you can look into one of those, and they're a lot of fun. I swam at a Masters Nationals, I think when I turned 19, and it was a blast. Even reaching out to local club swim teams, USA Swimming on their website has a find a team feature. So you can reach out there. Teams are going to be different, but they may know places that would offer like adult swim lessons if that's the case, or might know more about where swim opportunities are, depending if you need to learn more or just got to get in and get moving.
It's good advice. But I just thought of something. I'm gonna close on this. Erik, again, thanks for being on the show. It's always good to talk to you again, even though we didn't, we held Kate in the dark here. I enjoyed that. Going back to high school, Kate, she's not allowed to give me the finger on the air anymore, so she sticks her middle finger then and gives me the finger that way. So going back to high school, we were in the same PE swimming class together. I'm sure you probably remember this to some extent.
Did he try to do cannonballs in class?
I'm gonna see if you remember what I remember here about that. Not me personally, but do you remember we had, it was like during lunch hour where we had the split lunch period, and you remember we would have the first half of the pool to ourselves, and then the last part of the class, the girls.
Yeah, then the second half. Yeah.
So we had to cram 25, 30 guys into 3 lanes.
Yeah, it was crowded.
But then they moved us down to the diving well, and then we would jump off, we'd get time to jump off the high dive. And I remember there was somebody, and I don't remember who it was, but somebody in our class was trying to jump off the high dive and show off for the girls class, and it was absolutely not me. But the person jumped off the high dive. It just didn't get a good, let's just say they didn't get a good start, and did a belly flop off the high dive.
I can't remember.
Do you remember that?
That seems vaguely familiar.
I still to this day, I still feel the loud thud of the belly hitting the diving well, and hearing everybody, including the girls' class in the lap pool, go, "Oh!" It was just one of those moments where it's just
oh yeah, I vaguely remember that, but there's no way I can tell you who that was.
I couldn't tell you either, but I just remember whoever this was got out of the pool, and their entire chest was bright red.
And
so if there's anything to learn here, don't do belly flops off a high dive.
No.
But then, and Erik, because he was a swimmer and the swim coach was our class, he was not good with names. He knew Erik because he was on the swim team, but everybody else was, "Sir, you, sir, excuse me, the green trunks, you, lane 3, sir." But there was a kid in our class, so I'm not going to go into any details about him, and he could not swim. And there were points where the coach suggested maybe you should wear use a kickboard, or I want to suggest putting floaties on you. But then we come in and we have our final exam for swimming, which was just swim as many laps as you can. And it was 20 minutes or something like that. And he comes out, and after the class, he's going around, "How many laps do you? How many?" And he goes, "I swam 26 laps. And everyone's just "You can't swim. How did you swim 26 laps? And he goes, "I cheated." And, you have the flags that are at 5 yards out on each side. Yep. What he was doing is he was just pulling himself down the lane line, and he turned around at the flag. So he's cutting himself off essentially 10 yards. He was swimming, he's pulling himself and only going 15 yards instead of the full 25. And then admits out open to the swim coach that he cheated.
Well, then I ended up only having 2 more or something in that. So it's kind of wait a second. There's no way.
This guy who can't swim almost caught up with Erik, who he was basically said, "Just go swim laps. It's a free practice for you." Good time.
Things I remember from high school are like sitting in publications and watching movies instead of doing work. I remember the fun stuff like that.
Yeah,
And going to get donuts all the time, then get yelled at.
Remember when we made our phony hall passes that got us off campus?
Hey, it served well for 8 periods in the day or through the days.
So with this class, we had this publications that were you had permission that period to leave the school grounds to go sell advertising for the yearbook in the school newspaper. And Eric, myself, and one other guy, we were the backroom staff that people would come back with ads and they'd bring them to us and we'd sit at the computer and we'd draw the ad. It would go in the yearbook. And so like some days we just didn't have a lot to do and we just, we had our passes. We'd tell the teacher, hey, we're running up to McDonald's or we're running up to the donut shop, and we'd come back and come walking in the middle of the school day with a bag of McDonald's breakfast. And one time I walked out and I come walking back in, I have a box of donuts, and I go walking past the guidance counselor's office and I look in and they have like, the fish tank window in the guidance counselor office. And I see my parents sitting in there as I'm walking back into school in the entrance with a box of donuts. And I just kind of like head down and just keep walking. And my parents just had this look on their face like, what are you doing? Like, you left during the middle of the school day and you come back with a box of, like, how long have you been doing this? 2 years?
I'm trying not to teach my kids. I coach the ways of what I did in high school and college, trying to help them out a little more than that.
But yes, it was good times. So again, Eric, thanks again for being on the show today. It's good that Kate finally got her computer working after two drop offs. So editing.
Thank you guys for having me.
Editing will be fun. That's what we aim for. So do you have anything you want to plug before you go?
No, if anything, just advice out there for even anybody, just set your mind to something that you want to do, have fun doing it, and just go get it done. Who cares what people are telling you, and just enjoy what it is. That's what I'm trying to do, and I'm having a blast.
There you go. So Eric, again, say hi to your parents for me. And
see you here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, congratulations on the wedding. I wish I could be there, but
Yeah, we're gonna miss you there, but we'll have to get together here sometime soon, hopefully, and make up for it.
Yeah, you can come out and meet the little ankle biter monsters here.
Yeah, I know Heather really wants to meet you too. Find out one of the troublemakers that ran around with me forever.
I'm very curious. It's like stories will come out about my youth and to my wife and she's like, you're an idiot. Like, how are you still alive?
Well, I'm sure there's going to be things. We just saw Kyle and Molly last weekend as we had a little bit of an open house for people that weren't going to be able to make it down to Alabama, that they're coming down. So I know they want to share stories of some of our antics with campfires and all that fun stuff.
We got into that paintball duel in your backyard, and then I just turned around like, go ahead, shoot me. And I believe I used some other colorful language that I won't repeat here.
One of my favorite ones still is, I won't finish it, but aim it up.
Basically, we will not, we were doing this duel and finally we get done. MTV's Jackass, we've mentioned this before, Kate, on the show, that we before YouTube, we tried to like imitate this as kids, and
who didn't?
Yeah, right, exactly. And so one day we were like shooting each other with paintballs, and I'm standing in the backyard and I'm like, shoot me. And so he starts shooting me and I'm just, oh, shoot me. And he's like, he's shooting at my legs, and I go to him, aim it up.
Oh no, that was a Roman candle. I think I still have the video.
Right. That's right. It was a Roman candle. You were shooting Roman candles at my legs. And I said, aim it up. And then the next one comes and it just gets me like right square in the chest. And you just like, even in this crappy footage, you just see me go, oh.
As you know how the Roman candles, each one gets a little bit higher than the one before it. Yeah,
Those Roman candles. That's right. God, how could I forget
that and the UPS truck. When I'm riding the fire truck down the hill in the road,
oh
and
yeah,
there
yeah,
comes
yeah.
UPS.
Oh yeah, good.
Oh, if you wanted to fill up a episode of crazy stories, we can definitely do that.
Told you, we don't have the video camera anymore, but I still have many of the tapes that will.
Oh yeah, so much fun though.
Probably should be destroyed, but
that's where it helps. I can tell the kids, like, hey, you know, I've been there, done that. Don't do it.
Just do as I say, not as I do.
Yep. Luckily, we don't have our stuff on YouTube, so the kids can't find me and be like, Coach, you're an idiot.
Like, how stupid.
Like, yes, I will agree with you on that, but you know, I'm trying to be better now.
Yes. On that note, we've grown up a little bit since we were 17 years old. So.
I don't know about that.
I said a little.
Maybe a little bit. I've grown up.
Just a little bit. So, on that note, we went pretty long today. I'm not sure how long this episode's going to be until we cut out the Kate dropping out. Although I think we're going to hold the picture of Kate going for an extended period of time.
Hey, you got that for a future screensaver if for anything, comments or antics.
Oh, yeah, I get that all the time. I'll add like, hey, check this out, and then you're just like, no, we're not doing that. So, on that note, check us out, stadiumscene.tv, at Stadium Scene on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and TikTok, and at Stadium_Scene on Instagram. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss another episode, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.